Hey folks, today I'm going to be upgrading my 2015 Street Glide Special. I'm putting in a new cam. Currently it's the stock and I'm going to wood performance 222. I'll be replacing the push rods, the lifters for the night prowler lifters, new cam plate, new oil pump, gaskets, O-rings and so forth. So yeah, let's get into it. So I've already took the exhaust off, as you can see. I took the spark plugs out, put it in 6th gear, it's 5th gear, put it on your bike. So the next step I want to do is take these push rod caps, top caps off. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. There's one. Get back here and get this one. There's two. And I'll get the two in the front. Once you get the caps off, you can pull these up. And those O-rings are probably on there pretty good. So it's probably going to be a kind of a pain to get these up a little bit, but once you get them up, I'll take a rubber band and a paper clip just to hold it up. There we go. So that'll hold them up just so you can work on them and be able to cut them out. Okay, as you can see, I got the push rod covers pulled up with the rubber band and paper clip on both sides. Now I'm going to go ahead and take off the timing cover. Okay, there is a sequence of how these bolts come off and obviously put on, so I'll leave a picture up so you can see what that looks like. I know a lot of people don't do in order, only when they put it back on. I'm just going to go by what the service manual says. So I'll start with number one here and then go through these. I do want to mention that these bolts are 3/16 Allen. That's a total of 10. And there comes some oil. And that was pretty easy to get off. Sometimes you got to take a dead blow hammer and knock those out. Okay, now I need to cut the push rods, but I need the cam to be on the base circle, which means I need the piston to be at top dead center on compression stroke. So what I'll do is I'll have the rear on overlap, which means the front piston is on top dead center. So I've already got it there, and there is a couple white marks here. I don't know how well you can see that, but you can see they're opening and closing right around the same time. And you'll notice that these can spin. They have bled down. And these you can't move them all because the tension is still there. So that means I can cut these now with a pair of bolt cutters. Don't know how well you can see this, but I'm going to cut the front push rods. There we go. Whoops. Came flying out. But that's it. It's a good time to make sure you get those O-rings. You can see right there. It was baked on. Now I need to turn the bike over till I get to top dead center on the rear. Okay, as you can see, I got the push rods cut out, and there's also some O-rings down here, the bottom O-rings. You can either leave those in there or take them out now. It's really up to you. They'll come out with the lifter blocks, but I'll take one out just to show you. And that's what it looks like. Now it's time to take off the lifter blocks. These are 3/16 Allen, and just kind of take them off in a crisscross pattern. Alright, I got the bolts out for the lifter block. I have to replace that gasket anti-rotation pin that needs to come out. So set that aside. Pull your lifters out. Sometimes they're hard to get out, so I'll use a magnet. Pull it up, just like that. The intake one, you can see a little bit of frost there. So, but the one for the exhaust wasn't that bad. So, either way, they're getting changed. So, okay, this lifter block is on there pretty good. There we go. So now I'm going to take off the primary chain tensioner, and I'm going to replace this. So I have the pin for the new one. So I'm just going to put that in there so it doesn't pop out. And this is a T27 bolts. I actually already broke these loose. Just keep these bolts together. Let's take a look at it real quick. Yeah, it's definitely worn down. You see that? There's like almost like a chip come out of it. So I'll have to look for that. But yeah, I can feel like pieces of it coming off. So I need to definitely clean out the cam chest. But yeah, definitely needs changed. Alright, now I need to take off the cam sprocket bolt and the rear cam sprocket bolt. This is 9/16, this is 1/2 inch. They make a locking tool you can put here. I see some people put a flathead screwdriver, but if you hold down the brake, the rear brake that is, should be fine. I'm going to loosen this one up, the 9/16. There we go. Spacer, keep that together, and keep this one together that just fell off. So there those are. Should be able to just, oh yeah, slowly pull these off. Just wiggle a little bit. You can see there at time. Keep it exactly how this is. And I will leave everything just like that, and its timing marks are dead on. All right, so these 4 bolts here, which are 3/16, are for the oil pump. I'm not going to take the oil pump off. I'm just going to take everything off at once. So there's 6 bolts holding the cam support plate in, and there is a sequence to put those on, and according to the service manual, it's also the way you take it off, but you know, however you want to do it. So I'm going to take these off in order. All right, so this should just pull out. Oh, there we go. It came out came out a little bit faster than I anticipated, but yeah, there we go. There's the O-ring for the oil pump. These 2 O-rings need to be replaced as well. Clean this out a little bit, inspect it. Not really seeing anything, so that's good. No metal, no shavings. It's always a good sign. All right, so now I'm going to check the pinion shaft runout. The max spec on this Twin Cam 103 is 12 thousandths of an inch. This is the fueling runout tool. It's a 9015. You can use this on a Evo or a Twin Cam. Obviously this would be different if it was an M8. So I got the bike in 6th gear like before. It is set on 0. Looks like I'm at about 5 thousandths of an inch. All right, now I'm gonna remove the old cam bearings, and I have a cam bearing tool here. This will remove it and install it. This is your support plate. This is from Fuel Moto. I'll leave a link in the description. This is called your collet. And first thing I need to do is line it up. I'm gonna start with the rear cam. And just, okay, now I'm gonna turn this counterclockwise in order to get the cam bearing out. And it looks like it's free. So now I just take the thumb screws out. And there you have it. Now it's time to take off the other one. So I got the cam bearings out, and you can see this is one of the old ones, how close the rollers are, and this is a new one. You see how much better this bearing is. You can see how the rollers are so close. So there's lettering here that faces out away from the engine, and this more tapered in goes towards the engine. With my tool here, this is my collet. I'm gonna put this back on. Oops. Put this back on. This is gonna help me install it. This is your cam driver. So this is what it's gonna look like. The old cam goes on there. This is the new one. And of course, I have it all lubed up with assembly lube. And I just got to get it set out far enough. Once it gets tight, that should be it. Just make sure she spins back in there. And she is definitely flush. Now time to install the next one. A little assembly lube. Okay, so now I'm prepping the new cam support plate, the cams, and the new high flow oil pump. I've used some parts cleaner to spray everything off because it's got this like an assembly grease to help it keep it from rusting. And so I just kind of blow everything off. Make sure I get everything out of there. Make sure it's dry. I also clean the timing cover. I use some parts cleaner, a little bit of Scotch-Brite, as well as clean the bolts, get all the Loctite out of them. This is the bolts for the 3/16 bolts for the lifter blocks. And I've done that for the timing cover bolts, cam support plate bolts. All right, now I need to remove the bolts for the secondary chain tensioner. As you can see, I use the pin. This is 3/16 as well, because I'm gonna reuse these bolts. Here's the spacer. Gonna have to reuse that as well. May have to use one a little bit bigger, so the sprockets are even. All right, so now I need to take this C-clip off to get to that washer on the front cam, and I need these 4 bolts because I'll reuse them for the new oil pump. There we go. And you just have to pop this off. Oh, there we go. And there's the washer. Just make sure you remember where this goes compared to this washer. This is the thicker of the two, so that's one way to remember. And you'll notice there's writing on here, so the writing is always on the outside. So, but most likely we'll probably be using a new one for this side. Time to get these off. All right, now I need to prep the cam plate. Just lube it up with some assembly lube. Just put a bunch in there. Make sure these are still dot to dot. You can see there dot to dot. Make sure that goes in okay. All right. So here's my spacer that was on the front cam. So I'm gonna put that in. And I got a new C-clip. I'm sure this is gonna be fun. Knew I wouldn't get that the first time. Make sure it goes over that lip. Make sure these spin freely. And they do. All right, so there is an O-ring on this spline, well, I should say just below the spline, for this particular support plate that you're supposed to install. And then here is the spacer that it came with, and I might have to change this out. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and install. As you can see, I've lubed the hell out of this as well as the chain. So right now I'm going to install the secondary chain tensioner, and I'm using blue Loctite. So the torque on this is 90 to 120 inch-pounds. I'm probably going to do 110. All right, now I'm going to get ready to install the oil pump. I'm going to add a little bit of assembly lube here on the crankshaft and pinion. Then you have a scavenge port here for your oil pump, which you need to lube up as well. Put that right in there. Just run your thumb around the edge there. Make sure it's in. Oil feed hole. And then crankcase, O-ring port. Now I have the oil pump housing here, and I'm gonna put a ton of assembly lube in there. Put your oil pump housing in there. Make sure it's nice and snug. Here's your wide G rotor. It's keyed with the flat spots, so you need to make sure these go on right where that key is. Can be a little bit of a pain. There we go. Perfect. And you got your separator plate, which is keyed as well. As you can see here, the wider key there, flat spot, goes on top. There we go. And you have a wave washer. Just goes in like so. Then there's another separator plate. Looks identical to the other one. And again, these are all lubed. All right, so that's going in there like that. And the last one, your narrow J rotor, however you want to say that. There we go. Put a little bit more assembly lube in those teeth. Now it's time for the cam plate and the cams. There we go. Nice and snug. All right, now I'm going to put in the 3/16 bolts. I have blue Loctite for the oil pump. Let's get those started. Now I'm not going to tighten these down, torque them down. I'm just going to barely like bottom them out. All right, now for the cam support plate bolts, also using blue Loctite. Just going to snug these in order. I put a picture up. There is a sequence to do this. This is the first one. All right, now I need to spin the rear wheel. What I'm trying to do is have the oil pump find its natural center. Basically, it's aligned. Because if it's not, that could create problems down the road. So I'm going to rotate it 5 times from this spot all the way around, one full rotation. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4. And there's 5. Okay, now I'm going to torque the cam support plate bolts. The spec is 100 to 120 inch-pounds. I'm going to set mine at 110, so in the middle. And in that sequence, as I threw a picture up before. Now I'm going to rotate the wheel again 5 more rotations. Just got to get that center, natural center for the oil pump, that alignment. All right, I'm going to torque these oil pump bolts 15 inch-pounds, and they're already numbered. Basically, it's just making sure they're snug. And I'm going to rotate it again. Now I'm going to go 45 inch-pounds. And you guessed it, 5 more rotations. All right, now I'm going to torque to 90 inch-pounds. Same sequence. And now 5 more rotations. Now I'm going to do 120 inch-pounds. I know it seems tedious, but if you don't get this right, that oil pump could get kind of cocked, and then it'll eat into the plate, support plate, and then you also lose oil pressure. Now 5 more turns. That completes the cam and cam plate install. All right, now I need to check the sprocket alignment between the rear cam and the camshaft sprocket. I have the cam spacer already on there. That's by default, that's 120 thousandths of an inch. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the sprockets on. They're keyed. Just gotta find the key. And there we go. And that's keyed with the flat spot. So this is 34 foot-pounds, this is 24 foot-pounds. I'll use this locking tool. I'm going to take a straight edge. It should be less than 1/10 of a thousand. So got to make sure you hold it on. It's going to be hard to show you this, but like it's not going under, so it's less than 1/10 of a thousand. So that's good. We don't need to change the spacer. So now I can take this off, put the chain on, and set the torque. Okay, now I got the chain back onto the sprockets. And as you can see, dot to dot, but it really ain't gonna matter because these are keyed. You have this flat spot on the crankshaft that's a key, and then you got a key here. So you can you got to get these just right, and they are a pain. So to get one before you get the other. So you gotta kind of wiggle them on. There we go. Well, I got lucky. They're still aligned dot to dot. I'm gonna use red Loctite. Ooh. Get these started. So initially, I'm gonna start with 15 foot-pounds, and then I'm gonna back them off 360. There's 15 for that one. There's 15 for that one. And bring that all the way around, 360. And then I'm going to tighten it back up, just snug it. Back it off, 360. And then snug it back up. That's 24. There's 34. I'm going to spin this a few times, the wheels a few times, to see if it looks okay. Nothing's jumping. So now I'm going to put on the primary chain tensioner. I did put blue Loctite on these. Leave these snug. I'm going to take my pin out. It'd be bad if you left the pin in. Keep these. These are handy. These are 100 to 120 inch-pounds. I'm going to set these at 110. I'm going to rotate the wheel some more. Just double check. There's no issues with the chain, and it's flowing smoothly and it's not jumping. All right, now I'm going to drop in my lifters. They've been soaking for multiple days, so according to Wood Performance, the logo is supposed to go against the guide pin. Over the rear, and the rear guide pin in. Just rotating them, make sure they stay where they're supposed to stay. Now I'm going to put on the lifter block gaskets. This one goes with the flat part facing against the engine, and these will lay over that anti-rotation pin. I'm going to be using blue Loctite on these. I'm going to try to do like a crisscross. 3/16 ball for the back. Get those going. That seems to work pretty good. Okay, so the lifter block covers, the bolts for those are 100 to 120 inch-pounds. You got to do it in a crisscross pattern. Now I need to prep my push rod covers. I'm going to show you one of these. There's 3 O-rings in each push rod cover. You got the top, the middle, and the bottom, which is for your lifter blocks. So I'll take this apart. I won't use this again. Take this top O-ring off, won't use that one. And so I just want to show you what's inside here. You have an O-ring, a washer that holds the O-ring, and then the spring. So I just need to take the O-ring off, grab a new O-ring, here's my new bottom cover, and that's pretty much it. So the way this will work is this will sit on top of here once I have everything in place, and then of course you have your top O-ring, and then you have your bottom O-ring, which goes here. Now you can put these in like so with the O-ring like this, but I'm going to put the O-ring on top by finger as well as the O-ring in the lifter block by finger instead of just putting it in this way. All right, so you can see I've already got the front push rods in, and right now the front is on overlap, where both those valves are about, basically they're open. So that means that the rear is on top dead center. I'm going to go ahead and put in the top O-ring. I found it to be easier just to go ahead and put it in instead of leaving it on the cover of the push rod. I'll do that for both. So I'm going to start with the intake. These are Screamin Eagle push rods, so they are labeled intake and exhaust. So I'm going to start with the intake, and I did put some assembly lube on the end of each push rod. I'm going to turn this counterclockwise so it meets the lifter. And you're also going to have to rotate that locking nut upwards. I don't know how well you can see that. So as you can see, it's kind of bouncing up and down. So you want to get rid of all that lash. You want to have zero lash just where it's meeting the lifter. So turn a little bit more, and it has removed the lash. So I'm going to turn this around. There is an indicator mark here that Harley put on there, but I'm going to go ahead and put a white dot on there just so it's easier to see. I'm going to use a 5/16 and a 1/2 inch. And for these particular lifters, according to Wood Performance, it's 3 to 3.5 turns. Well, I'm going to go somewhere in the middle there, probably about 3 and 3.1. So I'm going to hold .5/16 and then use the 1/2 inch. We'll start out with 3 turns. Now with the 1/2 inch, 5/16, I'm going to hold everything in place. And that should be it. I'm going to take the rubber band and paper clip off, and I'm going to push this down. You'll notice that the O-ring is there. That's going to pop that right in place, and it's ready for that top cap. All right, I'm finishing up the push rod covers. Got to make sure these are seated up there with that O-ring. As you can see, that spring wants to come out with it. You're going to have to take a flathead screwdriver, and you'll hear that little snap. That's when you know it's up in there. Turn those in the direction you want them. All right, now I'm going to put the cam cover on with a new gasket, like so. Start with 1 bolt. I'm putting blue Loctite on there. Torque spec is 125 to 155 inch-pounds. And there is a sequence. And she's finished. All right, folks, that's it. That's the Wood Performance 222 new push rod, Screamin Eagle cam support plate, Night Prowler, Wood Performance lifters. Yeah, dyno tuned. So yeah, she's sounding good, runs good. I'm pretty happy with it, especially since I did all the work minus the dyno, because who can afford that? Yeah, appreciate you watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And always, rip the rod. See ya.